But the West was built on legends, tall tales that help us make sense of things too great or too terrifying to believe. This is the legend of the Ghost Rider.
Hey guys and gals, it's your buddy Drew with Living History's Mysteries and Three-Eyed Raven Productions. You know, looking back through our history, there are a lot of legends, a lot of myths, and straight up plain old stories that come out of the Old West. While researching different story ideas for the 35 days of Halloween, I found one that I had no clue was a true story. And the more I looked into it, the more I realized there was more truth than legend to it. Over the years, it's been repeated over 50 times by 50 different people, 50 different musical performers. It's a story about greed, about not caring, and about fading into infamy. Today we're going to take a look at the history behind a song that's been recorded over and over by greats such as Burl Ives and Johnny Cash. Today we're going to take a look at the true story behind the Ghost Riders, right here on Living History's Mysteries as part of the 35 Days of Halloween. Stay tuned. Century, tale after tale, version after version of the legend of the Ghost Rider has been told and retold. Most recently, a movie was made about a Ghost Rider named Carter Slade that made a deal with the devil over a contract of souls in a little town south of the border in Mexico, but still holding on to a piece of his conscience, a piece of his manhood, and not wanting this contract fulfilled and these evil souls released on the world, turned tail on the devil and outran him. Great movies, good list of stars, but had nothing to do with the legend of the Ghost Riders. This is the story, the true story of the legend. The Old West is riddled with lore and legend. Sometimes so much, it's hard to decipher the truth from the legend. That's when a lot of people believe, when it becomes so hard to tell the truth from fiction, you print the fiction. Texas was full of lore, legends, and ghost stories. The tale of the Ghost Riders is by far the saddest, most evil, not to mention the most famous in the country. This legend is sadly true, a senseless, ghoulish tragedy which took place in Crosby County, Texas. You may know it as Stampede Mesa. The legend inspired the classic song, Ghost Riders in the Sky. It all began like any other cattle drive should have back in the fall of 1889. The weather had been less than cooperative. The cowboys were worn to a frazzle, and the herd had been restless the entire trip. Late one night, as they began climbing the slope to the top of the range near some water, a storm began brewing. They'd planned to set up camp just over the ridge near the water. Sawyer, the trail boss, rode ahead to check out the surroundings and look for Indians. He was shocked to see a brand new homestead perched right on top the hill. He'd taken his route hundreds of times without incident, but now this was blocking his entire herd from crossing. It would take hours to go around it. Sawyer became infuriated. Without explanation, he shouted and cursed and waved blanket high up in the air to create a stampede. The nervous cattle scattered. Horses, some with riders, some without, began running with all their might. His men obediently followed behind. Sawyer was screaming, whipping at the animals as lightning bolts began flashing through the sky. The panicked livestock hurled straight through the farmhouse, crushing everyone and everything in its path. No one could hear the screams of the innocent as the animals raged through. Louder thunder and darker skies made the terrified herd keep running until they ran off several nearby cliffs to their death. Horses, holding the cowhands, followed behind. Near dawn, Sawyer began surveying the devastating damage he'd caused. Below the mesa were nearly 700 head dead steer, lifeless cowfolk, and their horses scattered around them. With no remorse in his soul, he ordered what was left of his hired help to round up the remaining 300 cattle and hit the trail again. When the drive ended, it's said he never worked again. No one would work for him, and try as he might, not a soul would hire him, even for menial tasks. Folks in that area turned their backs on him, and he took comfort in liquor. He was never seen again. The following season, another trail boss and his men bedded down their herd on top of the same mesa, which had been cleared of any previous devastation or debris. The skies were perfectly clear, but in the early hours of the morning, for no apparent reason, the herd charged. Again, most of them and 4 other cowboys riding horses fell off the cliffs to their death. Unlike Sawyer, this trail boss was overcome with guilt and grief. He too turned to the bottle and was never heard from again. Several more attempts by other outfits, which balked and laughed at the previous stories and myths of Stampede Mesa, all ended with the same result. Word spread everyone believed evil was perched on top of Stampede Mesa. From on about 1895, all cattle drives from then on avoided that part of Texas. Only lone horsemen and curiosity seekers pass through there today. Stories of ghostly counterparts up in the sky have been witnessed, along with claims of blood-curdling screams and sounds of angry hooves of phantom longhorns. People still swear today to the haunting in that part of the Texas sky. This particular legend inspired songwriter Stan Jones to write a Western melody in 1948 about this tableland in Crosby County, Texas. Ghost Riders in the Sky was set to an old Irish song called Johnny, I Hardly Know Ye. This Texas legend has spread throughout the world through music. Even if you've never heard the spooky legend of this evil, most likely you've heard the song. Burl Ives was the first of more than 50 singers who have recorded this iconic tune. It's become the most recorded, composed Western song of all time. When Johnny Cash performed it, it topped the charts for months. The words remain exactly as they were written originally. On yonder, back down in Crosby County, Texas, people still believe in this legend. There's a moral to the popular tune, and it's a simple one. Living cowboys need to change their ugly ways and do the right thing. Because if not, they too will spend eternity in hell working the devil's hurt. Welcome back. Like I said in the beginning, this song has been recorded over 50 times by over 50 different recording artists. It's such a popular legend in certain parts of Texas where it actually occurred in the latter part of the 19th century. Several men, several hundred head of longhorn, dove to their death, and still to this day, people report, though not as often as they used to, seeing the Ghost Riders. Is it true? Was it sensationalized over time? God only knows. But like another Ghost Rider once said, people say that the West was created on the back of legend. Who knows? But that's all I got for y'all today. As always, take care of yourselves, take care of each other. God bless you, God love you, we do. We'll see you in legend. Y'all take care.